But before we get started, please don't forget to smash that like button for me because it helps me make more videos and it helps the YouTube algorithm. At the end of August 2023, the People's Republic of China revealed its new standard map, showcasing China's territorial boundaries from Beijing's perspective. However, this map includes numerous territories that China does not actually control but claims nonetheless. These disputed areas encompass large regions currently administered by countries like India, Bhutan, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Indonesia, the Philippines, Taiwan, Japan, and even Russia, making China the country with the most open territorial disputes globally. Some of the more well-known disputes on the map include China's claim over Taiwan and its expansive maritime claims across the entire South China Sea, which conflict with the claims of Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Brunei. Less publicized are China's claims to the Senkaku Islands, currently administered by Japan, while other claims are newly revived or open to interpretation, such as China's unexpected reassertion of its claim to the Bolshoi Ussuriski Island in Russia, despite a 2008 treaty with Moscow that was thought to have settled the matter. However, the largest series of territorial disputes depicted on the new map, apart from Taiwan and the South China Sea, lies along the extensive frontier between China and India, stretching across the Himalayan mountains. The border between the world's two most populous nations spans 3,400 kilometers through some of the planet's most rugged and challenging landscapes, including the world's highest mountains and vast glaciers. Due to this harsh terrain, it has historically been difficult to clearly define where one country's territory ends and the other's begins. As a result, the India-China border has never been fully demarcated, making it the longest openly disputed border in the world today, with no legal agreement on its precise boundaries. Instead of an officially recognized border, the current frontier is referred to as the Line of Actual Control, LAC, which separates the areas controlled by India and China. Along this line, tens of thousands of soldiers from both sides face off against each other. However, the final borders claimed by India and China are significantly different and in direct opposition to one another. China and India dispute a territory along three separate sections of the Line of Actual Control, covering an area roughly the size of Portugal and home to nearly 2 million people. In the northwest, the two largest disputed regions are Aksai Chin and the Trans-Karakoram Tract, both currently controlled and administered by China, but also claimed by India. In the central region, there are smaller disputed areas, while in the east lies the largest and most controversial dispute. In this eastern region, south of the Line of Actual Control, is the Indian-administered state of Arunachal Pradesh. This area is about the size of Austria and home to around 1.2 million Indian citizens, yet it is fully claimed by China on its 2023 standard map as part of its territory. China refers to this region as South Tibet, and is so firm in its claims that Beijing refuses to stamp the passports of Arunachal Pradesh residents, issuing them stapled visas instead as a direct challenge to India's sovereignty over the area. Adjacent to Arunachal Pradesh, or South Tibet, is the independent mountain kingdom of Bhutan, a small nation with just over 700,000 people. In the 1980s, China quietly pressured Bhutan into ceding a northern area known as Kolakari to Beijing. Since then, China has gradually claimed, invaded, occupied, and even settled 3 additional significant territorial areas in Bhutan, located in the west, north, and east of the country. These areas represent about 12% of Bhutan's internationally recognized territory, which China now claims. In addition to asserting these claims, China has reportedly occupied some of these territories with its military and begun constructing infrastructure. In the northern region, they have even built entire settlements and villages, which have rapidly grown since 2020. Satellite images show hundreds of Chinese homes and buildings emerging in just the past 4 years. By establishing these villages within Bhutan's recognized territory, China is altering the demographic realities on the ground and reinforcing its claims through both settlers and soldiers. In 2020, China further escalated by suddenly claiming the Sakteng Wildlife Sanctuary in Bhutan's Far East, an area they do not yet control but may seek to occupy in the future. These numerous territorial disputes between India and China are highly contentious. In 1962, they led to a war that claimed thousands of lives, and since the 2010, tensions have nearly sparked another conflict on several occasions as geopolitical rivalry between Beijing and New Delhi has escalated. Notably, there were intense military standoffs along the line of actual control in 2017 and again in 2020, which resulted in dozens of soldiers killed and wounded. These confrontations involve brutal, medieval-style, hand-to-hand combat between the two armies. To understand why India and China have such extensive territorial disputes, amounting to an area the size of Portugal, and why tensions have continued to rise in the 2020s, China has quietly invaded, occupied, and even colonized around 12% of Bhutan's territory, further intensifying the situation. The stakes are incredibly high, as these disputes could potentially push the world's two most populous nations, accounting for over 1/3 of the global population and both armed with nuclear weapons, into a catastrophic confrontation. Understanding the origins of these disputes and the perspectives of both China and India is crucial to grasp the potential consequences of this conflict. The modern states of India and the People's Republic of China emerged around the same historical period. Modern India was established in 1947 after gaining independence from British rule following World War II, while the People's Republic of China was founded 2 years later in 1949 after the communist victory in the Chinese Civil War against the nationalists. Upon their formation, both nations inherited unresolved issues and decisions from their predecessors. India from the British colonial authorities, and China from the Qing Empire and the independent state of Tibet. One of the earliest areas of contention was the Aksai-Chin region in the western sector. Differing interpretations of border treaties signed by their respective predecessors quickly made this region a point of dispute. Aksai-Chin itself is a remote, high-altitude desert, difficult to access and largely uninhabited, and historically held little significance, until these differing claims brought it into the geopolitical spotlight. In the 19th century, there was a general understanding between the colonial authorities of British India and the Qing Empire that their border ran somewhere through the Aksai-Chin region. However, due to the area's remote and difficult geography, the exact boundary remained undefined. In 1897, the British authorities in India proposed the Johnson-Ardagh line as the border, running along the crest of the Kunlun Mountains, which placed Aksai-Chin entirely within the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir, a British protectorate at the time. However, this line was seemingly never submitted to the Chinese government for approval. Just 2 years later, in 1899, British authorities in India proposed a different boundary, known as the Macartney-MacDonald Line, which placed the border further southwest along the crest of the Karakoram Mountains, effectively placing Aksai-Chin within Chinese territory. The British presented this new line to the Qing government via a formal note in 1899, but the Qing never officially acknowledged or responded to it. This lack of response has resulted in more than a century of conflicting interpretations regarding the border. Now, if you like this video, check out this next video right here.